Our last topic of the day, guys, is about Infamous, a game and a franchise that was really popular for a period of time, and then all of a sudden it just kind of went off the face of the earth, and no one has seen a sequel to Infamous in a while, over 5 years at this point. And so what happened to Infamous, and where could Infamous 4 be at this point? So let's talk about it. So guys, in an article that was written by Paul Vigil from Gaming Bolt, he says, once a premier PlayStation franchise, the superhero-based series hasn't seen a new entry for over 5 years. It may seem like a long time ago, but the Infamous series was rather modestly famous. It was a symbol of the popularity of open-world action gaming back when that genre type was particularly popular, and the ability to dictate the moral course of the games with player actions both worked together to make players more involved in their playthrough, but also to give players a variety of options in how they wanted to play. Infamous Second Son was one of the titles unveiled at E3 2013, the same year that held one of their most important press conferences, the one that officially announced the PS4. Such was the franchise's popularity that it led to the appearance of major franchise lead Cole McGrath in Street Fighter V, Tekken, one of the most high-profile fighting game crossovers ever when it launched. Speaking of fighting games, as you would expect, Cole McGrath also made an appearance as a playable character in Sony's own fighting game, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Infamous is a franchise that even has comics to its name, and at one point a movie was planned for Infamous, even if word of that now goes back to about 10 years ago. And yet the circumstances of the Infamous series are not as they were back then. The most recent title, Infamous First Light, was released back in 2014. We are inclined to ask, what the hell happened to the Infamous series? So obviously, guys, I think that one of the big things is that, yeah, they were going to, this was going to become a full-blown franchise. We're talking a movie was considered to be made from Infamous, and they've made a number, if you really think about it, they've had different expansions on each of the games, and, this is a franchise, I think, that kind of was up there for me with Prototype at the time. I really enjoyed Prototype a little bit more than Infamous, but I thought Infamous was a really cool idea and concept, and actually, Infamous was actually way more popular than Prototype. Infamous games are made by Sucker Punch, formerly an independent studio. They have worked exclusively with Sony since 2000 and were formally acquired by the company in 2011. To their name, Sucker Punch has two major franchises. The first three games in the Sly Cooper series when they originally released on the PS2, and the Infamous series with their newest title, Ghost of Tsushima, which was announced at 2017's Paris Games Week. The Infamous series genre type is that of open-world action gaming with the three major titles, Infamous, Infamous 2, and Infamous Second Son, incorporating a morality system called Karma that affects the proceedings of the game on both major and minor scales. Karma is a system measured along the continuum of good and evil, with good representing actions that promote the welfare of others and evil representing selfish actions. Karma also changes the appearance of protagonists Cole and Delsin along with their attacks. We'll start with the first Infamous game releasing on the PS3 in 2009. It stars series lead Cole McGrath, who is a courier in the fictional Empire City when we first meet him, as he suddenly finds himself with electricity-based superpowers following his opening of a package. He struggles with his newfound powers, dealing with society around him and making choices as to what he should do with his powers. And that first game was really the one that I liked a lot. I really enjoyed the first game because it was like kind of new, and you're just starting to figure, things out about your character, and I thought they did a really good job with the first game. And I'll say this, guys, I think that Sucker Punch, now that they're working on Ghost of Tsushima, I'm going to say this, that Where would an Infamous 4 be at this point? I think that Infamous 4, guys, is a game that could be coming after Ghost of Tsushima because, man, Ghost of Tsushima looks absolutely incredible. Now, obviously, if there's a ton of success with Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch may continue that franchise in replace of Infamous, which would be unfortunate. I would love to see them do both franchises, kind of go back and forth. I think that would be awesome, but we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. Now, developed across 3 years with a team of 60 people, Sucker Punch sought a new direction in their games after the polished slickness and cartoony fun of the Sly Cooper series. Infamous was notably influenced by the concept of superheroes and the origin story, with the developers wanting to create a game that followed the progress of an everyday citizen such as Cole, as his powers allow him to grow into something more. The open world design of the game enhances the feeling of the environment being directly influenced by Cole's actions, with the karma system adding definition, structure, consequences, and results to one's actions. The game released a great critical reception on average, praise particularly singled out for mission progression in the karma system and the many ways it impacts gameplay and the environment. So, you had the first Infamous game was followed up by Infamous 2 in 2011, also releasing for the PS3. Once again featuring Cole McGrath as protagonist, he sets out to stop another super-powered human known as the Beast in the fictional location of New Marais. The game is notable for featuring a replacement voice actor for Cole, Eric Layden, who voiced Cole in every subsequent appearance. Infamous 2 is also significant for introducing a new feature, UGC missions, with UGC standing for user-generated content, allowing for people to make their own missions and share them with others, especially helpful to keep the gaming experience fresh once the game is finished. The developers felt the pressure to include multiplayer and had considered the idea of adding in cooperative play, but it didn't make sense to them and their goal of keeping the experience fresh. So, that's the next thing. They decided not to do multiplayer, which I think was a pretty big disappointment and something that I think that they could have done, which would have been really cool. Kind of a cool concept, but they didn't do it, and it's unfortunate that they didn't do it because now, you know, obviously we haven't seen a game in a while, and I think part of the reason might have been because as things kind of changed, the multiplayer, people wanting to get into multiplayer and play multiplayer-based games, having that option is always something really smart in my opinion. Now, obviously there's games like nowadays that are the kind of the outlier, Death Stranding and Spider-Man and, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, and, you know, there's a number of games, guys, that don't have multiplayer that have done really well, even like God of War, right? But I think overall, when you think of just an average franchise or average series, you really need to have multiple reasons for players to come back. So, the ending of Infamous 2 concludes the story of Cole McGrath with finality, and when Infamous Second Son, the next proper Infamous game, would release in 2014, it would feature a new protagonist in Delsin Rowe. The game itself takes place 7 years after the ending of Infamous 2, which saw the elimination of many superpowered humans and the establishment of a U.S. government police force meant to wipe out the superhumans, designating them as terrorists. The location this time is a real-world one, Seattle, unlike the previous fictional locations, however inspired by the real world they may be. As a major title, Second Son would bring back the karma system. It was in the planning stages as far back as 2010, before the first Infamous game would have much time to breathe after release. Sucker Punch was already planning for an Infamous on the PS4. They routinely were in contact with Sony system architect Mark Cerny, one of several development teams that kept contact with Sony during the design and creation of the PS4. So, here's what might have happened. What really happened with Infamous, I think, was with Second Son. So while the dev team count reached to more than 100 staff this time, it's still small enough to allow for a sense of streamlining and direction. Second Son achieved million seller status within 9 days of launch, the best commercial record of any Infamous title, and noteworthy even on its own. While its critical average was lower than past games, it still maintains a solidly good standing. Shortly, though, after the development of Second Son, Sucker Punch would begin work on Infamous First Light, a prequel to Second Son, and releasing in 2014, a few months after Second Son. It stars one of the major characters of Second Son, Fetch, a human with superpowers who has been captured by the US government force that is hunting people like her. A great deal of the game is Fetch recounting her story to the lead antagonist of Second Son, leading up to the introduction scene of Second Son. The game released to modestly positive reception on average. For the most part, the character of Fetch is well liked, but the title is also seen as a more of the same Infamous title, with issue being taken also with the game's perceived lack of difficulty. So, this is how far the franchise has gone and how far it seems it will go. There's no hint of another Infamous title being planned. And with Sucker Punch hard at work on Ghost of Tsushima for the PS4, with word of this title being development through publicly unnamed at the time, first breaking on December 2015. Sucker Punch has a history of working on games with comparatively small development teams with the ambition of delivering action experiences of a great scale. With Ghost of Tsushima release date still unknown, it's hard to think Sucker Punch is planning to juggle two major projects at once. To celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the first Infamous game's launch, Sucker Punch tweeted out an informative thread providing ample background on the first game through video clips and text. That being said, it's entirely possible that another new Infamous game could happen once Ghost of Tsushima is completed, though Sucker Punch may be watching to see how Ghost of Tsushima is received both critically and commercially, seeing as it's their most recent title in a few years. One might be inclined to think that with Sucker Punch's relative dormance, Sony may be watching the studio as well. Do you think that all necessary stories in Infamous have been told, or do you want to see more? So, here's what I'll say, guys. Infamous, I believe it's a franchise that I think it should coexist with all the, with all the different other games that are out there. I mean, I don't see why not. It's a pretty cool franchise, right? And I think that the way they did it though was a little bit weird with Infamous Second Son, and because I remember, some of the expansions that came out for these games, I almost thought that they were new games altogether. Like, I thought it was like a new addition to the franchise. Like, I didn't think that it was, and that's what got me confused as a player or a gamer who enjoyed Infamous. I didn't like the second one as much as the first one. I thought that, the first one was the best. The second one I liked more than the third one. I thought that they progressively got a little bit worse in my opinion. I think that if they were to go back to it, do a soft reboot. Do a soft reboot on the PS5 and, add multiplayer. I think that would be really great. And, maybe go back. You don't have to do, go back to like Cole McGrath. You can kind of, start with fresh characters and stuff. But I think that even bringing back Cole McGrath would be smart, possibly, because he was the face of the franchise. And so, doing that and making like kind of a soft reboot, I think would be a really great idea for Sucker Punch, because, Ghost of Tsushima, I'm predicting it's going to do very well. It looks incredible. The graphics are amazing. I think it's like different as well. I think people are going to really like Ghost of Tsushima, but I think Infamous, I mean, why not come back to it at some point? Obviously, that option is there. Maybe Sucker Punch felt like they did everything that they wanted to with Sucker Punch and now, or with Infamous, and now they want to move on to something else. That being like Ghost of Tsushima, maybe they want to make a few of those games now. It's hard to say, guys, but that's kind of like what happened with Infamous. I think that really, at the end of the day, I really think the reason why they didn't make an Infamous 4 at this point is simply because Sucker Punch probably wanted to work on something new, something fresh. They worked on, Infamous for a period of time, and now they wanted to work on something different, and Ghost of Tsushima is exactly that. That's not saying that they don't want to come back to that franchise at some point or another. They just want to, kind of work on this for a while. It's kind of similar to like Crytek. Crytek worked on the Crysis games for a number of years, and now they moved on to Hunt Showdown. So there's nothing wrong with that either. They moved on to another game. There's no saying that they're going to come back at some point, but that option will always probably be there for these studios, and that's a beautiful thing, and hopefully Infamous does come back at some point in the future. But what do you guys think? Do you guys want to see a continuation of the Infamous franchise? Did you enjoy it? Did you like Infamous more or Prototype more? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and let's have a real conversation about it.